Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I was reading through comments over my last few videos, and it was so interesting that my video that I did about being ghosted got such strong reception from it. And so many people were like, thank you for talking about this in a video, and I've gone through the same thing. And some people said like, wow, like I got ghosted somebody and I didn't even realize what I was doing and the impact that it had. And I just didn't really think that topic, to be honest with you, would get that much attention. And I think it's interesting because it's something that in my life, like I've really, dealt with on several occasions where, either like I said, like I in the past have done that and didn't really realize I was doing it, or, I explained about like how I set boundaries and limits with people, but like I talked to people first, and then I talked about a very serious situation that had happened to me that really had a profound impact on me, and to be honest with you, still does to this day. It still affects my trust of people in my life today, in how I interact with people, and if I feel people pulling like away from me a little bit, which it doesn't really, to be honest with you, happen that much today because I have such a small group of people around me. And part of the reason why I have a small group of people around me is because the people that I have in my life today are people that I know that I can implicitly trust. They're ride or die. I know that they're not people that are going to ghost me. I know that they're not people that are going to just be like out of my life tomorrow and I'm never going to hear from them again, And, and in all honesty, like I talked in my vlog about one of my dear friends moving, several hours away with her boyfriend, my friend Valerie. And, we still keep in touch like every single day, and I was really scared when she moved. I was like, oh God, I hope this isn't the end of our friendship. Like I hope that, like I don't talk to her and stuff. And I was scared about that. And we continue to talk all the time and plan things for the future. And, like the people that I have in my life today are loyal people, and I'm loyal to them. And so I don't need to have, 50 or 100 people surrounding me. When I was younger, it was about the quantity of people that I had in my life, and today it's about the quality of the people that I have in my life, and the trustworthiness of the people, and me reciprocating that and being trustworthy to them. I've always believed that you have to be the friend that you want to have, and so you have to be that friend to other people as well, right? And so it was interesting to me, the reception that I got on that, and that so many people were like happy that I talked about that in a video. So, it's sometimes the topics over here that people ask me to talk about that get the strongest reception. That kind of surprises me. I think we've all felt like we've been ghosted before in our lives, and it's something that I think is really, that a lot of us relate to, and it's something that we've all experienced at least one point in our life or another. And I think the hardest thing about being ghosted is, I have to say, the hardest thing about being ghosted is not necessarily not having that person in your life, but not knowing what it was that you did to push that person away, and then to find out later, like I found out, that it really wasn't anything that I did at all. Like I was really not in that. Like, I can remember years ago the Oprah Winfrey quote where she's talking, to Maya Angelou, and she's talking about all these people saying stuff about her, and Maya says to her, you're not in that, and I always remember that quote, right? Because then later when I have this conversation I made up with this friend of mine that had ghosted me for a very, very long time, what I found out was what they were going through at that time and all this kind of stuff. Okay, and hey, listen, I understand that. Still doesn't take away from the pain that I went through at that time. The whole time I was questioning, what did I do? Did I, like, I have no idea, like, where did it stop? Like, on what day? Like, I'd go back in my mind and relive things and be like, what happened? Like, I don't even know. Like, we were having great times and all of a sudden it was just over, and it really, like, it affected, this person is somebody that was, like, very dear to me, that would have been at my wedding, and didn't invite them to my wedding because of that. I didn't share that the other day, and then this person, like, moved away, and I didn't get to even say goodbye to them when this person was very, very close to me in my life, And so, and like I said, we're fine today. Like, we've worked through it and stuff. I'm still very cautious of that relationship today, but we're fine today. you know, fine in recovery as effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. I don't know. You know, like, I'm still very, like I said, very careful. I'm very cautious of that relationship because I was really hurt. I was really, really hurt by that, you know? But I think, like, the whole situation is like we missed out on major life events in each other's lives because of whatever distance they felt they needed to have, which then later to find out that it really wasn't about me and they had done the similar thing to other people as well. And it makes me sad because, you know, like my friend Tanya says, the older you get, the road narrows and you realize what's important. And it's those relationships, it's those times you spend together, you know? But anyway, I just want to say thank you for all the comments that I got on that video. I learned a lot, and I just was like, I would read these comments, I'd just be like, wow, like, this is profound, you know? And to see so many people that had gone through similar experiences as me, you know, or similar experiences as other people that had left a message, I really appreciate that. So I got this message, actually, or this comment on my video, I was ghosted and it hurt. And this comment really stood out to me because it reminded me of my mom. And so I wanted to address this because I really... like, I'll read these comments, and the ones that I pick out are usually the ones where maybe somebody's left the same comment a couple times, so they really want me to address it, or they, you know, they'll say something and it, like, hits me on a personal level. Like, I've experienced it, or, like, I've gone through something with somebody in my life, experienced it, something like that, right? Somebody close to me has experienced it. And so then I feel like I want to speak on that. And like I always say in my videos, you know, like, this is not expert advice. This is just based on personal experience of things I've lived in my life, right? Sharing my experience, strength, and hope. So this person put on here, on the ghosted, I was ghosted and it hurt. Their comment was, I think for me, I give up on friendships too easily. When someone stops communicating with me and I texted them once or twice and they don't get back to me, then I just give up and move on. I've never had a long-lasting friendship, and I think it might be that I've never really got close to anyone, so it's easy to drop people and move on. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm a bad friend, and they put their hands up like this emoji. I don't want to keep bugging people, and I feel like I'm just a nuisance in their life if I keep trying to keep up with them. Also, I feel like my friendships are one-sided, where I try to make the effort and the other person doesn't do the same. And hey, listen, I have completely been there. The reason why this comment really struck me hard, okay, was that I can remember my mom, and this was way, you know, after she was sober and things like that. And she would say to me, like, I would say, like, well, what are you doing this weekend, Mom? And she'd say, oh, I don't have any plans or whatever, you know, and I'd say, well, why don't you reach out to somebody and, you know, do what somebody, I mean, this was just like certain periods of her life. It wasn't like her whole sobriety, but I would say, because she was very busy and very active in different parts of her sobriety, but there was a couple times, and it was more towards the end, I would say, where she was like, well, I don't want to bother this person. Like, you know, they've got a husband, they've got, you know, family. Like, I don't want to be a burden. My mom would use the exact same word, burden. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to, did you use the word burden? I feel like you said nuisance. Did you say nuisance or did you say burden? Bugging people. My mom would say, I feel like I'm bugging people by reaching out to them and asking them. And I'd say, Mom, like, how are, you know, like, you can't just sit at home and expect that people are going to call you up and ask you to do things. Sometimes you have to get the ball rolling. Sometimes you have to make things. And she's like, well, I know, but, like, she would say, I don't have a lot of people in my life anyway, and I don't want to bother people and whatever. When my mom passed away, her viewing was packed. I mean, absolutely packed. And then the next day we went to the funeral, or I guess it was, yeah, the next day we went to the funeral, or whenever it was. And so the church that I grew up in, which was where my mom's funeral was, it had a huge, it was like an old church with stained glass windows and the whole 9 yards, right? And so it had this middle part, right, that had, like, you know, a pew in the middle that would fit about 20 people, and then it had pews on the side, pews in the back, and they probably went back about 30 rows, right? And the middle section would sit like 20 people a pew, and then on either side it was like 10 people a pew. So you're talking 40 people in a row times whatever, 30 rows back. And then there was a upstairs too as well, right? That wasn't very big, but there was an upstairs. So I got up to give a eulogy, and I had the eulogy all typed out and things I wanted to say and whatever, and so I was prepared to say it. When I got up there and I stood, because I was sitting at the very front, and I stood and I looked out over it, I said something to the effect of, like, I started crying immediately because I was like, this would mean so much to my mom because she didn't know how much she was loved. Like, she never realized that she was ever loved on that level. Like, she just didn't. She didn't get it, you know? And any of these people she could have reached out to, and they would have wanted to do something with her. People liked my mom. But she was always worried about being a nuisance or bugging somebody, right? Like, the worst thing that can happen if you reach out to somebody and you ask them to do something is that they say no. The worst thing that you can do when you reach out to somebody and they don't respond is move on to the next person. You know? I've always believed with friendships and like trying to meet new people, like, and I'm not big about meeting new people today. I'm just not, you know. It's like I said, like I also feel like the older you get, it's hard because it's like with my friend Tanya, I have like 26 years invested in that friendship. Like, if I meet somebody tomorrow, you know, how am I going to build that kind of friendship? Well, I'm not going to build the same kind of friendship that I have with Tanya, but I can build good friendships, you know. My friend Valerie, I met her, you know, 6 or 7 years ago, and she and I are very, very dear friends. My friends Nikki and Mel, you know, from my book club, Mel and I have known each other a little bit longer than, well, a couple years longer than Nikki and I knew each other, but we're very good friends and text and talk on the phone and stuff like that, and I love them dearly, you know? And they're newer friends of mine, and they're ride or dies, you know? So you gotta keep trying. You gotta keep trying, because you never know. And you are not a nuisance or bugging people. And if that's how they take that, then they need to tell you that, right? And that's really, to be honest with you, that's about them. That's not about you. That's that they feel like, my mom would always say, well, they've got so much going on, I don't want to bother them. Then they should tell you that. Hey, listen, I've got a lot going on right now. I can't be doing stuff, right? But there's got to be somebody out there that you can have, you know? And I don't think that you're a bad friend at all. I think that's the go-to. My mom would say that. My mom would say those same things. Well, maybe I'm just not a good friend. You know, maybe people just don't want to be about me. She would personalize it. She would make it about herself. But then she wasn't doing any of the work to reach out. And I'm not blaming this on you. I'm telling you what I would tell my own mother. And that was, Mom, you got to do the work. You got to reach out. You got to call people, you know? If you want to have those relationships. I never, until I got on YouTube and started talking about Tanya, and other people would respond to me and say, I have never had a friendship like you have with Tanya, did I realize how much that friendship, I didn't realize how precious it is to me, that most people in life never have that. I want that for everybody. I want everybody to have one really good friend in their life. You all deserve it. But it takes work, you know. Even with me, I've shared that I had to like go in there and be uncomfortable and, you know, and go into, you know, Tanya's kennel and be like, hey, I'm here, like, you know, like, let's talk. And it was so uncomfortable for me, right? But like, I did it, you know. I reached out. I can remember them thinking, remember that all the way back then thinking, she's probably busy, she's probably working, and she told me to stop by sometime. And I thought, I don't want to bother her, I don't want to be a burden to her. You know, she's busy, she's working, she's running a business. You know, she's got a kid, she's got a husband, you know. 26 years later, she's my heartstone. I don't know what I would do without her, you know. And friendships are work. They're just like any other relationship. You know, you got to work through stuff, and you got to try. And you got to try to meet people, you know. You never know where you're going to meet people. My friend Valerie and my cousin Caroline both say kind of similar things. So when I would go to the casino with Valerie, and I'd be sitting next to somebody, I'd start talking to them. You know, where are you from? Like, oh, blah, 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 whatever. Oh, good spin, good bonus, whatever. And we'd start talking, whatever. And I talk a lot about social anxiety, right? And Valerie would look at me and she'd say something. She'd say like, oh, where's the social anxiety, right? Like, because she'd get such a kick out of the fact that I could talk to a total stranger. Caroline says the same thing to me. Caroline will be like, you can talk to somebody in Costco like nobody's business. It's sometimes easier for me to talk to total strangers one-on-one. Put me in a group of people, I'm bad, right? But like one-on-one, like there's that human connection for me. But that also was something that took some work. That wasn't something that came naturally. Like, I had to do the work. Like, my husband's always like, we'll be like, you know, on the beach on a trip or something like that. Like, we made these friends with this couple that are from Austin, Texas. And she was reading a Colleen Hoover book on the beach. And so, they're like Alex's age. And so, you know, they were like 5 feet away from us. And I said, can I ask you a question? She was like, yeah, what? And I said, what is it with Colleen Hoover? Like, I know people love her. My best friend loves her books and stuff like that, but I cannot get into her books. I read Verity, and she and I started talking and whatever, right? And then her husband sat up, and we started talking about where we were from and what we did and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, where they traveled to and where they lived. And we became really good friends, you know, to the point where we're going to, like, meet up and travel with them and other things down the road, you know? And other couples that we met another couple, you know, that was from the UK, and we became, like, instant friends with them. And Alex is always, like, he's the extroverted one and I'm not, and he's always like, how is it that you like find things to talk to people about? Because I'll just like pick something out and talk to somebody about it, right? And I'm like, I can do it when it's one-on-one, but I can't do it when it's like in a group of people. Like I put my head down, I'm very, you know, that's the next thing I need to work on in my life, right? But I can do it when it's just like if I'm sitting right next to somebody, I can just pick something out that I like. I always, like, this is my thing. I pick something out that I really like about them, like if it's a piece of jewelry or their hair or, I don't know, you know, like their bag or just, you know, whatever. And I'll be like, oh, I love this, you know, ring that you have on or whatever. Actually, a server of ours at Cafe Patachu that we love, she has this ring, okay, this like this coolest, it's like this stone that's like painted on, and that was how we started talking years ago, because she had this ring and I loved it, and I was like, I love your ring so much. And so we started talking about it, and then she started talking about where she got it from, started talking about her brother, and so we became really, really good friends, you know. And I can do it like one-on-one with people, but I have to also think enough about myself to not think that I'm a burden to other people. And if people don't want to spend time with you, they will let you know that they don't want to spend time with you, and then move on to the next person, you know? But, you know, you owe it to yourself to have relationships in your life. You're not a bad friend. You're not a bad person. If anything, it says more about the other person if they do not respond to you. Move on to the next person. Reach out to somebody else, you know? You'll find somebody out there. You deserve to have at least one good friend in your life. We all do. So I wish you the best on this, because it kind of made me sad. It kind of reminded me of my mom a little bit, my mom's attitude, and the fact that I go to her funeral and yet it's packed, right? With all these people that loved my mom. And yet she never knew it. And that kind of makes me sad. And I don't want that for you too. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that love and care about you, you know, and you just have to do a little work sometimes, you know, to reach out there and meet new people and to, you know, continue to reach out to people. And, you know, and if something's going on, like I said in my video the other day, reach out to them and be like, hey, like, I'm confused, like, you're not responding to me, is something going on, you know? And if they don't respond to that, then let it go. And if they do, and they say it's not about you, it's about me, whatever, then you know, at least, you know, because it's the unknowing for me that's the hardest part. But we all deserve, I think, at least one good friend in our life, you know? I don't know if it's something that we deserve, but I think it would be nice if we all had really one good friend in our life, don't you think? I think so. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.